Our next in-person mastermind is coming up this fall, and we're heading to Vegas. We're kicking off this mastermind with an in-person tour at Zappos downtown Las Vegas campus, where you'll learn their strategies behind company culture, core values, employee engagement, and customer service. Looking outside the legal industry for business concepts and strategies allows you to gain fresh perspectives and innovative solutions that can be applied to improve and differentiate your firm's operations. Following the tour are the mastermind hot seats. Every attendee has the opportunity to dive deep into their business obstacles with their mastermind group and coach. We believe that nothing beats working on your firm in person, so join us in Las Vegas on November 7th and 8th. This is your chance to break through barriers, spark new ideas, and accelerate your law firm's success. Limited spots are available. Visit maxlawevents.com for full event details and to grab your ticket today.
Run your law firm the right way. This is the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. Your hosts, Jim Hacking and Tyson Mutrux. Let's partner up and maximize your firm. Welcome to the show.
Welcome back to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. I'm Jim Hacking.
And I'm Tyson Mutrux. What's up, Jimbo? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm getting ready to leave tomorrow to go to Kansas City for a big softball tournament for NOR, and I'll be passing through your fine burg early afternoon tomorrow, and then she's got a little competition, and then games start on Thursday.
Well, you should leave a little early, and we can grab lunch or something.
Oh, I'll see. Maybe that might work.
Yeah. Your intro was a little different. It was like a lot of times you have like a lot of energy. This was a little flatter, almost like you meant to be flatter with it. It was a different.
Oh, no, I was just up late last night. We went to the Sarah McLachlan concert at the St. Louis Music Park, and I didn't get to bed till about midnight.
Is that the one that does that sad dog song? Like it plays on.
She has a lot of sad songs. One of them is the one you probably are thinking of is from Toy Story 2. Because You Love Me. Yeah, but she didn't play that last night. But it's the 30th anniversary of an album that came out the year Amani and I started law school. So we used to just wear it out.
All right, so I'm thinking of the animal cruelty video is what I'm thinking of.
Oh, that's her. That's her, yeah.
I got to turn that thing off so quickly whenever it's on. I was like, I can't hear this. I can't hear it. Keep going. All right, so we are going to talk about content and how some people like to make content creation overcomplicated. I think I tend to over process it, I think, a little bit sometimes. But let's go back to your original video setup that you had, and it was super simple. Like that's how you started. It was in a little closet with a green screen, a little bitty video recorder, and I mean, you did a video. You hit like a couple buttons on the computer, and then it was done. Now yours is way more advanced than what it used to be, but that's how you started, man. That was it. It was click, click, click.
It was a Kodak Hi8 competitor to the flip cam. It had a little port that could let me plug into my desktop. I would download the video, clear out the green screen. But, my early videos are terrible, and if you watch them, they're funny and how boring. Hi. I'm Jim Hacking. Let's talk today about getting your citizenship. And so it would just go on and boring as heck. But that's okay because you get better and better. That's sort of one big thing is that people put up all these hurdles to make it hard. They're like, I have to have the perfect camera. I have to have an editor. I have to have theme music. I have to have an intro. They make it way much harder than it needs to be.
I do think it depends a little bit on what kind of video you're recording, because it does seem like the higher performing videos on YouTube, and I'm talking more long form, medium to long form, do seem to be a little bit more produced. But if you compare that to the short form, like the minute videos, like TikTok type of videos, the YouTube shorts, those do seem a little underproduced. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying there's no place for highly produced videos. I think it's fine. I mean, I don't know that the world needs another lawyers walking up the courthouse steps in slow motion videos.
No, let's be very clear. We don't need any more of those videos. Let's make it very clear.
Right. I just always remember Brown and Crouppen had an ad where they were walking down the hallway with law books on the side, and they said, today is going to be a bad day for the insurance companies. And so, you can do all that stuff all day long. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is creating meaningful content that answers questions. Meaningful content that answers questions. It's not branding. It's not about how great you are. It's not about how many years of service you have. It's answering a specific question for the exact purpose of obtaining long-tail search. That is, search where people, months or years after you make the video, they want to know the answer to that question. They do a search. Google and YouTube are symbiotic. YouTube's the world's second biggest search engine as of now. And they find the answer to your question, and then they fall into your funnel, or they fall into a situation where they're consuming lots of your content all at once. Yeah,
so I think that's dead on. So you instead of you making it about you walking up the courthouse steps like a jackass, you make it about the actual potential client. That's what marketing is. Like if I go back to marketing school, for me, that was the number one thing. Everything's about the client. You make it about the client experience. But so check this out. Two of our newest employees, I had them write down 10 questions you would have if you were injured in a car crash. Okay, I gave them a little index card, and then they both wrote down these 10 questions. And
perfect.
So they're very, very tiny writing, and so these are all things I can use for content. Which it's interesting because a lot of them are similar to other questions I've gotten, but I've actually never gotten this one. How can I help? How can I get help for myself and the other driver? I found that an interesting question, but I think that's actually a valid question because, and that's I can do a lot of good content with that, and so that's a very simple way of doing it is just asking your people for questions that they'd have, or your clients, or just you talk about this all the time, repeatedly. All the questions that you get on a regular basis from clients, record videos about them.
I love the point that you just made, that you've already made videos about how do I get help after I'm in an accident. But then someone asked you it slightly differently. They said, how do I get help for me and the other person? If you start walking around listening for content ideas, your ear will get better at hearing the phraseology that people use. And the great thing is that if you're listening to the phraseology, that's probably the thing they're going to type into Google. So you can really become attuned. Like when I do my Immigration Answers live show, someone will say something about a topic that I've talked about many times on that show or in separate videos. But the way that they frame it is a way that I haven't thought of saying it before. And it gives me a different entree into making a lot of the same points that I like to make, but in a totally new and different way.
I think we did this training in the Guild, and I don't know if you remember this, but it was on videos, and we were looking at one of your videos that I think is either your best performing video or one of the top few, and then you had created or you were going to create a similar video just to see how they tested, because I think the old video wasn't as polished. And so you were gonna redo it. Have you ever redone that video? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know which one it was. It was the 5 biggest mistakes people make at their immigration interview. And the thing about that thumbnail was the 5 was huge. I don't know. So we did try to recreate it, and it did about 1/3 as well. It still did really well. People love to know about mistakes, hacks, secret tips. If anybody, especially in my realm, but certainly in your realm too, how to deal with the insurance company, like the 6 secret things the insurance adjuster doesn't want you to know. I mean, to having a number on it makes them want to watch till the end of the video, which will make your video perform better, which means more people will see it, and then it's a virtuous cycle.
That's a good idea. And what is it about this the blank number of blank, whatever it is, like this 6 secret tips, or I don't know what it is, but with that, sometimes I'll get into this mode where I'll think, oh, well, this is obvious. No one knows that. And the reality is the average person doesn't know it. It's just obvious to us because we do it all the time. Like there's immigration stuff that is absolutely obvious to you, right? But I don't know it. I'm a lawyer. I don't know this stuff. I mean, I'm constantly asking you stuff. Like we call them professors in jiu-jitsu. My jiu-jitsu professor, he has an immigration issue that he has questions on. And so, or no, it was not an issue, immigration issue. It was a tax issue he had issues on. And I referred him over to Mark Milton. And
are you tired of the marketing guessing game? Does your website feel more like a digital billboard than a client magnet? If you're nodding along, you're not alone. And it's time to stop the uncertainty and start getting real results. Let's talk about your marketing spend. Are you just shelling out money every month and crossing your fingers? Do you ever wonder what impact your marketing is really having on your revenue? Well, it's time to take the guesswork out of the equation with Rise Up Media. We've been working with them for over a year, and the feedback from our fellow members has been fantastic. Rise Up Media is here to take your marketing to the next level. They'll even perform a full audit of your online presence, giving you the good, the bad, and even let you in on what your competition is up to that you're missing out on. And the best part, there's no obligation, no catch, no pressure. If you decide to work with them, their contracts are month to month. That's right. No long-term commitments tying you down. So what are you waiting for? To learn more about how Rise Up Media can transform your firms, visit riseupmedia.com/maxlaw, and Rise is spelled with a Z. riseupmedia.com/maxlaw.
Mark was asking about his immigration status, and I was like, I have zero idea what he's here for work. That's all I know. I don't know if that's a visa or a green card, what that is. But like to you, that's obvious. You know what I mean? Like you know right off the top of your head what he's here for. I don't know. But so the average person, even though it's obvious to you, the point of this is that it may be obvious to you, but it's not obvious to the average person. So just because you think it's obvious doesn't mean you shouldn't record it. Go ahead and record whatever that question is or whatever that topic is, because most 99% of the people that are searching for that topic don't know.
And besides it being obvious, a lot of times people will say to themselves, oh, I already talked about that a lot, or I'm creating too much content. And they're talking about creating too much content, like 2 or 3 videos a week. Nobody's sitting there watching your entire feed. I do have like some people's Twitter's tweets alerts because I like their content, or, you can subscribe to a YouTube channel. But at the end of the day, most people are not going to see, because there's so much content being created, they're not going to see all of your stuff. So you really don't need to worry about that. And it's probably just something you're telling yourself to keep you from doing more content.
Yeah. Speaking of getting alerts, the only person I get alerts for on X is you. For some reason, every time you go live, I get an alert, and I don't know why I do. I must have clicked something.
Yeah. I was thinking about following you the other day because I wanted to find out what happened with your truck. But yeah, lives are different. I think lives are just the platform alerts you if you're someone who either follows them or that stuff. But I do think there's just so much baggage that comes with creating content. How do I look? Is my hair right? Lots of just things that we say to ourselves that are really just an end run around not creating content, where if we said to ourselves, I have to create a piece of content every day, just one piece of content every day. It could be a LinkedIn article. It could be a YouTube short. It could be a TikTok, whatever. You don't have to make it your manifesto, your big long list of things, or, telling the whole world everything. And you also don't have to do it all at once. One of the things that I've really adopted doing in the last 6 months is if I'm sitting around waiting for my daughter or my wife to come out to the car, I'll get out of the car, shoot a TikTok, and edit it while I'm waiting for them. You can do it that quickly, and you don't need to make it so super complicated.
Yeah, and something we talk about in maximum lawyer minimum time is to start, focus on one platform. Don't focus on all the platforms, because that's one of those discouraging things where if you focus on too many of the platforms, it's kind of like the Jason Selk stuff. If you focus on everything, you're going to focus on nothing. And so focus on one of those social media platforms, dominate that first, then move on to the other ones. But trying to scatter it all over the place is not a very effective technique.
Are you still creating as much TikTok content as you used to? I don't see as much as I used to.
We weren't. No, we're not, because we just weren't getting the results. For the the effort, and it wasn't like we didn't give it a shot. Like we gave it.
No, you had good stuff, I thought.
Yeah. It was for the effort that we were putting into it and the results that we were getting. And I'm not talking about like views. I'm just talking about, it wasn't leading to clients. And so there was I could point to zero connection between the number of views and all that to actual conversions. And so the closest connection we could make is some of the videos that were being watched on Facebook. And I think that was the closest connection we could draw to it, but that's why we've not put as much of an emphasis on it.
So what content are you creating these days?
So I do put a lot on X, and then we are doing occasional YouTube, but we're not doing, and it's on a regular basis, but we're not doing, like I was doing a TikTok / YouTube short a day. So I was doing one a day, which was a lot. And we did that for several months. And it was, we got great views, but just the amount of effort that we were putting into it. And then we had switched to longer form videos that essentially what I would do is I would record these really long videos and then they would be cut down. And those were pretty effective. And so we've done more of that over the last year or so.
Let's talk about another topic when it comes to content creation, and that is having a distinct voice. I think it's really important that you have a distinct voice and that you try to bring out some of your personality. I like to make silly faces. I like to point out dumb things the government does. I like to point out when they screw people over. I mean, if I was creating content for car accidents and stuff, I would be clowning on insurance companies all the time. Like if I saw a State Farm sign and I knew that State Farm had just screwed over one of my clients, I'd hop out of my car, I'd show myself with their logo, and I would just be dogging them right there on video. I think if you take sort of like a guerrilla, GUERILLA approach to it, where you're just sort of like a quasi gonzo journalist with your phone and just, like popping up and just, making faces and going like this, I think that goes a long way. When I put a little pizzazz into the TikToks, they perform much, much better.
Yeah, you're definitely really good about having like the fun with it. And I would say just whatever works for you, like whatever style. It does seem like the higher performing videos there's a little bit of humor mixed in. And so like if you're doing like some sort of like lawyer video, it's the humorous ones are usually the ones that perform the best. Like if you look at like TikTok lawyer, and there's a couple people that we've had on, was it TikTok Barbie? Was that what she went by?
Yes.
Mixes in a little bit of humor into her stuff. So I think you're right. I think putting in those kind of smart quips, those clever quips, yours are, you say your big head. It's always your big head, but yours are consistent though. Like if I go to your video, I know what I'm going to see. I'm going to see these like quick cuts, Jimbo's big old head, something pretty funny. It's going to be high paced, but I think being consistent is really what's important most of all.
Yeah, and I think that you should spend some time, if this is something you really want to do, number one, and you said earlier about learning the platforms, you need to spend time on the platforms. I mean, TikTok is insidious in that they make you sit on TikTok while your video is uploading. So at the very least, use that time to see what other people are doing. Follow the kinds of people that you want to have your channel be like, if TikTok's the channel that you choose. But if you haven't already, there are 2 great books Gary Vee has put out. One's a little dated, but it'll still drive home the point, and that's jab, 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 right hook. That's about learning the rhythm of the content. Obviously, I'm going to be much more buttoned up on LinkedIn than I am on TikTok or YouTube Shorts, right? I'm not going to be as silly as I am on LinkedIn, although sometimes I do. And actually, sometimes being against the grain on a particular platform works well, too. Like, you could act all nerdy and studious. If I made a bunch of silly videos on TikTok and then I made one very academic, I think people would, it's a pattern interrupt, and you want to have those pattern interrupts. So check out Jab, 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 Right Hook. But then Gary Vee's new book is Day Trading Attention. And I got to tell you, Tyson, it's some next level stuff. It's the stuff they're doing for their clients. And I consider myself to be pretty well versed in this stuff. I spend a lot of time thinking about it. And there's stuff in there that I barely understand. Like, there is some next level ninja crap. And I'm like, holy shit, this is the Bible. This is the next 2.0 of what we need to be doing in content creation. And it's like, it's literally mind blowing if you really dig into it.
Nice. So he said this is a follow up to my 2013 book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, which was a guide on how to make content on the social platforms of the day. Yeah. All right. I'm going to check.
He said he wanted to call it Jab, 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 Left Hook, to talk about, because the concept between Jab, Jab, Jab is that you give free content, you give free content with your left hook. And then the right hook is when you actually make the ask or the pitch for what it is that you do. So you might have 9 really good pieces of content that don't say anything about how great you are. And then the 10th one is like your offer or your pitch or something a little more salesy. So he wanted to make this new book to talk about, A, the things that have changed in the last 11 years, and 2, to help people sort of make that transition into actually using the platforms to drive business.
All right, I'm gonna jump on this right away. That's nice.
Of course, get the audio version, because he's got such ADHD that every other paragraph he's jumping off on some tangent and cussing, which makes the book 10 times better.
All right, I'll check it out. Very good. All right, Jimbo, anything else you want to add? We're gonna wrap things up.
Just keep it simple, stupid. Just don't make it hard. Make it easy, and don't be hard on yourself. Don't look at your numbers. Don't criticize your skin tone. Just get to work and make some content.
Sometimes those crappy ones are the good ones. That's crazy.
For sure.
All right, let's wrap things up. Before I do, check us out on Facebook. Go to Maximum Lawyer inside of Facebook and search, and you'll find us. If you want to join us in the guild, go to maxlawguild.com. You can join us at one of our quarterly masterminds. We've got Charlotte and Vegas at the end of this year, so we're looking forward to that. And while you're listening to the rest of this episode, if you don't mind us help spreading the love, give us a 5-star review. That would be greatly appreciated. We would love it if you did that, so please do so. Jimbo, what is your hack of the week?
We talk to a lot of lawyers who struggle with delegation, and they struggle with letting things go, and they struggle with not being in every aspect of the business. But I really want our listeners to spend some time thinking about, could I outsource or delegate a lot of the stuff related to our finances? Obviously, you're not going to give control of the bank account. But I think that when we talk about exercising that muscle, other than having a personal assistant to really do a lot of the stuff, if you're trying to develop that muscle of delegation, finance is something that you can really get bogged down in. It can really take a lot of your time. We noticed that Imani was spending way too much time in the finance realm and sort of directing too much of the finance stuff. So we're going to shake things up in finance. And I really think that people need to figure out, what do I need numbers-wise and reporting-wise to feel comfortable to let someone else do the day-to-day matching up of transactions, balancing out the trusting account and the operating account. You don't need to be doing that stuff. That is low-level work compared to what you bring to the table as a lawyer and as a law firm owner. So I would implore you to really explore the possibility of outsourcing as much of that as possible.
That's great advice. Love it. Very good. For my tip of the week, it's related to today's topic, and it comes from my buddy Jim Hacking. So, let's say you get a question from one of your clients, if you type that into Google, right? Google's going to give you, let's see, I'm looking at right now, 8 or so related searches. So you've now taken that one question and you've now multiplied that times 9 now, because you have, 9. You have 9 topics now, not just 8. So, or 1. You have 9 total. So you can go and record videos on each one of those related searches. So, Jimbo, thanks for that hack you gave me a while ago, and it's very, very helpful. So if you have a question and you're like, okay, I've already recorded this video, what are some other ideas? Just type it into Google. It's going to give you related searches, and now you've got a bunch of other content. So that is my tip of the week. So good talking to you, Jumbo. You see my new hammer? See it? Like it on the wall?
What are you doing with that?
That's my hammer. So it's for like our hammer letters.
Oh, I see.
We're hammering the insurance company.
Did I ever tell you about the time my dad, during summer vacation, he said, Jimmy, go back with the sledgehammer and break up the concrete. We had a little lip of concrete, and so I went out there and I kept hitting, instead of hitting the hammer part, I kept hitting the stick, and I broke the stick in half. It was my father's sledgehammer, so he was so pissed.
That's one way of getting out of work. Listen, concrete work is awful. For anyone that's done concrete work, it sucks. I've done one day of concrete work in my entire life, and it sucked. It told me enough. I never want to do concrete work. Holy crap, that sucked. So, all right. Good talking to you, Jimbo.
Thanks for listening to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. To stay in contact with your host and to access more content, go to MaximumLawyer.com. Have a great week and catch you next time.
Before you go, have you heard Jim and Tyson talk about the Guild on the podcast or in the Facebook group? If not, you're missing out on some really exciting things happening with Guild members and their law firms. The Guild includes a community, accountability, trainings, group coaching, and in-person events like our quarterly masterminds. Inside, you'll gain support, tap into a network of connections, and continue learning, a common theme among successful entrepreneurs. Investing in a community is like the self-care of business ownership. Surrounding yourself with other people who get it is crucial when you're creating a rock-solid foundation to build your business on, one that's strong enough to withstand setbacks, transitions, and growth. So head to MaximumLawyer.com/the Guild to join now and get started today.